Good morning. The Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation will come to order. Today we'll consider three nominees: Harry Kumar, Joyce Meyer, and Seval, who are headed to the Departments of Commerce and Transportation. We'll also take up a bipartisan reauthorization of pipeline safety programs and the Rotor Act in response to the tragic aviation accident at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in January. First, a word about the Bipartisan Pipeline Safety Act of 2025. As the energy capital of the world, millions of jobs nationally and in Texas depend upon the safe and reliable movement of energy. The Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, or PHMSA, has the critical task of overseeing more than 3 million miles of oil, natural gas, and other liquid pipelines that move energy across this country every single day. The Pipeline Safety Act, which I introduced along with Ranking Member Cantwell and Senators Young and Peters, is an important, consensus-driven bill that directs PHMSA to address key pipeline safety challenges. First, this bill authorizes appropriations for PHMSA's pipeline safety programs for 5 years, giving the agency the time and resources it needs to address critical priorities. The bill updates safety rules for storage tanks that are currently in use. It lets pipeline operators test new and more modern safety technologies in real-world conditions, and it guards against risks from pipelines made with composite materials. The bill also strengthens state call-before-you-dig programs and addresses the safety of hydrogen natural gas blending and carbon dioxide pipelines. I want to thank the members of this committee for sharing their priorities, dozens of which, from both sides of the aisle, are reflected in this bill. A brief word about the other bipartisan bills on today's markups. Two of them, Senator Wicker's Integrated Ocean Observation System Reauthorization Act of 2025 and Senator Baldwin's Digital Coast Act, support the gathering and accessibility of ocean and forecasting data. That information may prove helpful for fishermen, who will be pleased to see that we're also reporting out Senator Sullivan's and Young's Fishermen Development Extension Act. Senator Young's Global Investment in American Jobs Act calls for a review of our ability to attract foreign direct investment from responsible private businesses in allied countries. Senator Ernst's National STEM Week Act would establish a week to promote education in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, an important recognition of the growing number of U.S. jobs that require STEM skills. Senator Budd's Foreign Robocall Elimination Act would establish an interagency task force to report on foreign-initiated robocalls. With advances in technology, illegal robocalls are being made from all over the world more cheaply than ever. It is high time that we protect Americans, especially seniors, from these annoying and unwanted attempts to bilk them out of their money. Finally, we'll turn to the Rotor Act, which I introduced in July with Senators Moran, Blackburn, Budd, Capito, Marshall, Schmidt, Sheehy, and Young. The substitute amendment, which we negotiated with the Democrats and is co-sponsored by Senators Cantwell, Capito, Klobuchar, Budd, Duckworth, Blackburn, Markey, and Young, closes a dangerous loophole that allowed military aircraft to operate in domestic skies without communicating their position quickly and accurately to other aviators like commercial aircraft do. This legislation requires all aircraft operating in congested airspace to equip with ADS-B-In, which will enable planes to receive position signals from other aircraft, something the NTSB has recommended for decades. And Chairwoman Hamady, welcome. Thank you for being here. It also directs the FAA to conduct more in-depth safety reviews at airports with nearby helicopter traffic to better coordinate communication between the FAA and the Pentagon. And it requires the Army Inspector General to review for systemic failures that may have contributed to the January crash at DCA. Lastly, I want to recognize the families of the victims who are here today. In particular, Sherry Lilly, whose stepson Sam was the first officer for the American Airlines Flight 5342. Sherry is with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your advocacy. As are Jim, Wynn, and Sally Jo, who lost family members Yu and Eddie Jo, and Kayon Mao. Without the families, the Rotor Act would not be happening. As National Transportation Safety Board Chairwoman Jennifer Homendy said, this legislation will save lives. I'll now turn to Ranking Member Cantwell for her opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for this markup today. I want to thank our members and their staffs for working so diligently on these important pieces of legislation. They include, as you've mentioned, aviation safety, pipeline safety, STEM education, support for NOAA programs in our coastal communities, maritime industries, and promoting the next generation of fishermen, including direct foreign investment in the United States, and protecting consumers from unlawful foreign robocalls. I too want to thank the families who are here today, Sherry Lilly and the Lilly family. I also want to thank the Zhu family and all the families of the Flight 5342 for their incredible work and input on this legislation. I too want to recognize Chairman Homendy, who just recently completed a series of hearings, and we look forward to your final report on this important recommendations beyond the Rotor Act, and hope that we will, as soon as that report is made public, have hearings on them before this committee. But we are here today, and I'm pleased to have come to a bipartisan agreement with Senator Cruz that identified those issues that NTSB had identified as critical to address in the Reagan National Airport collision that took 67 lives. 67 people died because the military helicopter flew invisible into another aircraft, and pilots lacked the technology to see each other. The bipartisan agreement fixes both problems. First, it closes the ADBS-B out loophole immediately upon the enactment of this legislation. Previous attempts to try to close these loopholes have met with rules that allowed for loopholes. Second, it requires aircraft operators to equip their fleet with ADS-B in technology by 2031, the first ever mandate for this life-saving technologies after 17 years when the NTSB first recommended it. So this committee is accomplishing a great act this morning by saying we are finally mandating this and getting it into law. The agreement also strengthens the FAA Department of Defense coordination, requires comprehensive safety review of all aircraft operations in the DC airspace, as well as all major and mid-size airports across the country. And from the data that we hear from some of the hearings and input, this is something to be concerned about. We need to do more work more quickly. These are the reforms that the families sought, and we know that they will save lives. Next, we turn to the Pipeline Safety Act of 2025 from Chairman Cruz and myself and Senators Peters and Young, and I thank them all for their work on this. The bill reauthorizes the Pipeline Safety Program through September 2030. This bill includes important measures to ensure that safety of our energy infrastructure, including 46,000 miles of pipeline in my state, the state of Washington. Critically, the bill directs TSA to make its cybersecurity requirements permanent to prevent attacks like the 2021 Colonial Pipeline hack. It also requires operators to address aging plastic components known to fail, land movement caused by landslides and earthquakes, and close loopholes for carbon dioxide and hydrogen pipelines. We also will consider National STEM Week Act from Senators Klobuchar and Ernst. This bill requires the National Science and Technology Council Committee on STEM to designate a week each calendar year as STEM Week. And given how much the administration has cut science funding across the board, I'm glad to see a bipartisan effort to focus on STEM and promoting these tools. The chairman mentioned the Integrated Ocean Observation System Reauthorization Act by myself and Senator Wicker, Senator Sullivan, Blunt Rochester, and Baldwin, and I want to thank Senator Wicker again for working on this in the original bill and for the 5-year reauthorization. Important NOAA buoy system information to give us high-quality ocean and coastal Great Lakes data that weather forecasters, fishermen, maritime transportation system users, and other ocean users depend on for their safety and their economic success. The Digital Coastal Act from Senators Baldwin and Sullivan reauthorizes the Digital Coastal Program. The Digital Coastal data set consists of contributions from hundreds of organizations, federal and state agencies to assist communities in responding to emergencies. And when you have very remote parts of a coastline like we do in the state of Washington, having those groups have access to that information. I literally know a story of an accident where a sailor fell off a boat in Puget Sound. He and his brother were coming back from BC and trying to get back to Olympia and fell off. And the Coast Guard was trying to search for them, but because this information was accessible, a guy on Bainbridge Island calculated and said, this is where he is, and they literally were able to rescue the individual. So all this data really is important. Next, we consider the Young Fishermen's Development Extension Act by Senator Sullivan, Wicker, and Markey. The NOAA's Young Fishermen Development Grant Programs provides training and outreach to young fishermen by awarding competitive matching grants. The Global Investment in American Jobs Act by Senators Young, Peters requires the Department of Commerce and Government Accountability Office to conduct interagency review of global competitiveness of the United States in direct investment to our domestic economy. And finally, consider the Foreign Robocall Elimination Act from Senators Budd and Welch, and I thank them so much for their work on this very important issue to direct the FCC to establish a public-private interagency task force on these unlawful foreign robocalls. I do not support the nominations that are before us this morning. I have concerns about the administration undermining the integrity of data and about being transparent with us, as in the case of Mr. Kumar's work at the agency, and more transparency in safety technology overall. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for working collaboratively on these important bills.
Thank you, Senator Cantwell. I now recognize Senator Cantwell for a motion.
I move that, Mr. Chairman, I move that S 2975, the Pipeline Safety Act of 2025 as amended by Cruz, Cantwell, Young, Peters, substitute, as modified, as amended by Thune 1, as modified, be favorably reported.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I was congratulating Mr. Curtis on some legislation he moved in the Ag Committee. I apologize. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call up Lujan Amendment number 2.
Proceed.
Mr. Chairman, this amendment is pretty simple. It looks at some of the things that have happened in our communities over the last few years, and it's quite simply saying that some studies need to be included, some weather occurrences need to be included in these studies, and that we should do something about it. So in February of 2021, for example, Winter Storm Uri caused widespread extended blackouts in New Mexico, Texas, and other south central states, owing in part to low pipeline pressure. Now, the Texas cold spell was 25 degrees below average temperature. That's extreme cold. Tragically, this resulted in 246 storm-related deaths. I mean, people died. Similar circumstances repeated in December 22 in New York City due to Winter Storm Elliott. Now, during and after Winter Storm Elliott, natural gas failures caused dangerously low pipeline pressures, which extinguished pilot lights in homes and jeopardized gas services for millions in eastern New Mexico. And following the storm, safety was compromised as gas companies faced a major effort to restore service by manually relighting pilot lights for affected customers. So ensuring that these storms are a part of the study would help understanding how extreme weather poses a risk to the integrity and normal operations of natural gas pipeline facilities, which I would argue is critical to protecting public safety. Furthermore, we want to avoid these circumstances from happening again, not just deliver another study to Congress. And so the amendment not only includes these specific storms in this study, but if you look at the final paragraph in the amendment, it says, if the study shows that something's got to be done with extreme cold, extreme heat, that we know has led to outages, then Congress has to do something. And I don't know why this would be controversial for anyone. I'm surprised this one wasn't just accepted. There's no rhyme or reason why this would just be excluded from the definition in Stafford Act, which, when you read it, it doesn't say anything about these particular storms. It goes on to say snowstorms or drought, but that's not what happened with these ones. This wasn't a snowstorm or a drought that was related to heat. It was just extreme cold. And those of us that live in really cold places, you all know what extreme cold is. That's above normal. I'm not talking about when it gets chilly outside. I'm talking about when everything stops working. And there's no rhyme or reason why, when we're making investments and especially working with these industries that we all depend on to stay warm or cool or save people's lives, that they shouldn't be included. So the amendment's that simple, Mr. Chairman, and I would ask for my colleagues to consider supporting this. I'd be happy to work with anyone on it to make sure that it works for all of our states and that we're able to get something good done. Urge a yes vote.
Thank you, Senator Lujan. I want to clarify, the amendment you called up is Lujan 2 as modified, is that correct?
That's correct, sir. Lujan 2 as modified. Thank you for that correction, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. All right, so I've been having a vigorous discussion with my staff who have all these talking points on why I should oppose your amendment. You have 3 amendments that you're proffering this morning.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to suggest, Senator Lujan, something. If you're willing to withdraw the other 2, I'm amenable to adopting this amendment by voice vote.
I withdraw the other 2, Mr. Chairman.
Then I suggest we adopt this by voice vote. My staff's talking points say it's duplicative, but this would not be the first time Congress has done something duplicative, and I'm confident it will not be the last. And so all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The amendment is adopted. Are there any other amendments or any other discussion? Okay, if there's no further discussion, the question is on Senator Cantwell's motion. All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed say no. The motion is agreed to and the bill is ordered to be reported favorably. I now recognize Senator Cantwell for an additional motion.
Just for point of clarification before I make my motion, Senator Blunt Rochester would like to be recorded as a no on S 2975.
She will be so recorded.
Mr. Chairman, I move that S 2563, Global Investment in America Jobs Act of 2025, as amended by the Young substitute, be favorably reported.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Markey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, very much. Mr. Chairman, I support the intent behind the Global Investment in American Jobs Act that Senators Young and Peters have constructed, because foreign investment is an important part of the U.S. economy, and it makes sense to examine whether the United States is an attractive destination for foreign capital. But as part of that examination, we cannot ignore the elephant in the room: the Trump administration's chaotic economic policies and its ongoing attack on the rule of law, which undermine foreign investor confidence in our country. I filed nearly 24 amendments to ensure that this legislation takes a comprehensive view of the U.S. investment climate. And I won't be calling up all of those amendments, but it's important that we vote on some of them. So first, I call up, Mr. Chairman, Markey Amendment 1, and I ask for its consideration.
The amendment will be considered. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That amendment will require the report to study the impact of government actions that undermine the First Amendment: freedom of the press, independent oversight of institutions. When deciding whether to invest, investors weigh not only tax rates or labor costs, but also whether a nation's political climate respects transparency, accountability, and independent oversight. Actions that chill speech, intimidate journalists, or erode First Amendment protections signal institutional fragility, the very risk foreign investors seek to avoid. That risk was skyrocketed in the United States from FCC Chairman Brendan Carr's mafia boss threats against the media to Trump's firing of inspectors general, this administration has repeatedly sought to shut down dissenting voices across the country. Markey Amendment number 1 would ensure that the report considers how such violations of the First Amendment affect foreign direct investment in the United States, and I urge my colleagues to support this amendment.
Thank you, Senator Markey. I oppose this amendment and will be urging my colleagues to vote no. The purpose of this bill is to require the Department of Commerce to review U.S. global competitiveness in attracting foreign direct investment from responsible private sector entities, not those who act at the behest of the Communist Party of China. Senators Young and Senators Peters have both worked together in a bipartisan fashion to advance this legislation. I'm very happy the committee is advancing it today. This amendment, however, is not intended to improve or to add any practical value to the bill. Instead, this amendment is meant to criticize the Trump administration over the comedian Jimmy Kimmel. Now, Jimmy Kimmel is both unfunny and he has a lousy jump shot. But let's be honest. The Trump administration is not the first administration that has been less than fully supportive of free speech at the FCC. Democrats have spent years trying to deplatform Americans and broadcasters they disliked. Many of them urged the FCC to revoke licenses from Sinclair for urging conservative views. This committee has already held one hearing on government censorship in the First Amendment, and we will be holding more hearings in the coming weeks. And I'll be soon introducing legislation to prohibit government jawboning and to empower Americans to vindicate their constitutional rights. And so Senator Markey will soon have an opportunity to support my legislation, to put action behind his words. Listen, I support free speech, and I support free speech regardless of which party is attempting to interfere with it. But this amendment is not furthering the bipartisan objectives of this legislation, and I urge a no vote. Is there any additional discussion? A roll call vote has been requested. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Thune?
No by proxy.
Mr. Wicker? No. Mrs. Fisher? No. Mr. Moran? No. Mr. Sullivan? Mrs. Blackburn? No. Mr. Young? Mr. Budd? No. Mr. Schmidt? No. Mr. Curtis? Mr. Moreno? No. Mr. Sheehy? No. Mrs. Capito? No. Ms. Lummis? No. Ms. Cantwell?
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Schatz?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Markey?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Ms. Baldwin?
Aye.
Ms. Duckworth?
Aye by proxy.
Ms. Rosen?
Aye.
Mr. Lujan? Mr. Hickenlooper? Mr. Fetterman?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Ms. Blunt
Aye
Rochester?
by proxy.
Mr. Cruz?
No.
The noes are 15, the yeses are 13.
The amendment is not adopted. Are there any additional amendments or additional discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Markey.
I want to call up next Markey Amendment number 3.
It is called up. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this amendment would ensure the report considers the impact on foreign direct investment when President Trump makes financial success dependent on political favors or personal loyalty to him. Investors place capital where the rules are predictable, and success depends on innovation, not political loyalty. When foreign companies perceive that advancement in the United States market requires currying favor with politicians, they view the environment as corrupt or risky. This perception deters legitimate investment, particularly from allies who expect transparent, rules-based commerce. Such crony capitalism is pervasive in the Trump administration. The examples are endless. Apple CEO Tim Cook brings a custom glass plaque with a 24-karat gold base to the White House for Trump. A UAE ruler invests in a Trump-linked crypto fund 2 weeks before securing Trump's approval on a major semiconductor deal. Companies with the closest Trump connections receive tariff waivers, while those without such connections are left out. Day after day, companies with ties to the White House and Donald Trump are rewarded with favorable contracts and political benefits, and these types of deals are offensive to a rules-based economy and will inevitably give investors pause about investing in the United States. For that reason, Markey Amendment number 3 would ensure that the report studies how such crony capitalism and political favoritism affect foreign investment decisions, and I urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Markey. I oppose this amendment and urge that my colleagues vote no. The underlying bill is a bipartisan bill. This amendment is not drafted or intended to further those bipartisan aims. Rather, this amendment is a partisan critique of President Trump and the Trump administration. Now, I recognize it is no secret to anyone in this room that Senator Markey disagrees with President Trump, and indeed, our Democrat colleagues disagree with President Trump. But at the end of the day, the purpose of this bill is not to voice the political disagreement of some members of this body with President Trump. It is rather to advance bipartisan ends. And so for those reasons, I urge a no vote. Is there any additional discussion?
Roll call vote, please.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Thune?
No by proxy.
Mr. Wicker? No. Mrs. Fisher? No. Mr. Moran? No. Mr. Sullivan?
No by proxy.
Mrs. Blackburn? No. Mr. Young? No. Mr. Budd? No. Mr. Schmidt? No. Mr. Curtis? Mr. Moreno? No. Mr. Sheehy? No. Mrs. Capito? No. Ms. Lummis? No. Ms. Cantwell?
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Schatz?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Markey?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Ms. Baldwin?
Aye.
Ms. Duckworth?
Aye by proxy.
Ms. Rosen? Aye. Mr. Lujan? Aye. Mr. Hickenlooper? Aye. Mr. Fetterman?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Aye. Ms. Blunt
Aye by
Rochester?
proxy.
Mr. Cruz?
No.
The noes are 15, the yeses are 13.
The amendment is not adopted. Are there any additional amendments or further discussion?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, I would now call up Markey Amendment number 6.
The amendment is called up. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this amendment would ensure that the Commerce Department report considers threats to the independence of the Federal Reserve in its review of direct foreign investment in the United States. That's what people are looking for overseas. They're looking for predictability in actions taken by the Federal Reserve in terms of interest rates and other policies. Global investors prize the Federal Reserve's autonomy as a hallmark of American economic credibility. Perceptions of political interference in monetary policy through pressure on interest rate decisions or efforts to fire Fed governors can rattle markets, raise borrowing costs, and reduce long-term investment confidence. President Trump has been aggressively undermining the Fed's independence for the past few months, most notably with his effort to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook. If federal policy becomes dependent on Trump's every whim or political wish, investors would be understandably wary of investing in the United States. In fact, presidents like Trump, who seek to turn every policy lever into a political weapon, whatever the consequences for the American people, are exactly why we have an independent central bank in the first place. So Markey Amendment number 6 would ensure Commerce's competitiveness study accounts for those risks in foreign investment in our country, and I urge my colleagues to vote yes and stand up for the independence of the Federal Reserve.
Thank you, Senator Markey. I oppose this amendment as well and encourage my colleagues to vote no. This is yet another political show vote. In this particular instance, it is intended to criticize President Trump and the Trump administration for the policies concerning the Federal Reserve. The last I checked, the Federal Reserve is nowhere near the jurisdiction of this committee. It has nothing to do with the underlying bill. And that is a topic that is perfectly appropriate for floor speeches on the Senate floor, but does not belong in this bill, so I urge a no vote.
Mr. Chairman?
Senator Lummis.
I too oppose this amendment. we determined that under the Biden administration on the Banking Committee that efforts were made to politically debank conservative organizations and various businesses such as the oil and gas business and other businesses that were unfavorable to the Biden administration. And in fact, some were debanked. We even determined that there was guidance in the Federal Reserve to undertake those kinds of considerations, which are extremely subjective when determining whether banks were banking companies that were out of favor with the Biden administration. This cuts two ways. You're correct that the Banking Committee has jurisdiction over this. We are looking into it and will continue to do so. So I too oppose this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Lummis. Is there any additional discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Cantwell.
Thank you. I think that Senator Markey is just trying to make sure that as we look and encourage foreign investment, that we think about what are the implications of policies, just as these previous amendments did. But if you're talking about a factory in Washington State and making an investment, it's clear you can't have it shift on a dime. It's tough to attract investment if the domestic manufacturing, because of tariffs or inflation, see different investment strategies. A number of recent studies, including some by the Federal Reserve, show that investor confidence is closely tied to stable monetary policy. So when investors perceive that central banks have a clear, credible plan for achieving price stability, they are more confident in their ability to make those informed decisions. The underlying bill and the underlying purpose of this amendment is not to turn us into the banking committee, but to make sure that we're thinking about these policies and making sure that these policies are clear data on the importance of fiscal policy for making these direct investments. I urge my colleagues to support the amendment.
You want a roll call?
vote.
Yes, please.
Is there any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Thune?
No by proxy.
Mr. Wicker? No. Mrs. Fisher? No. Mr. Moran? No. Mr. Sullivan? Mrs. Blackburn? Mr. Young? Mr. Budd? Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Curtis? Mr. Marino? Mr. Sheehy? Mrs. Capito? Ms. Lummis? Ms. Cantwell?
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Schatz?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Markey?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Ms. Baldwin?
Aye.
Ms. Duckworth?
Aye by proxy.
Ms. Rosen? Mr. Lujan? Mr. Hickenlooper? Mr. Fetterman?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Cruz?
No.
The noes are 15, the yeses are 13.
The amendment is not adopted. Are there any additional amendments or further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Markey.
I now call up Markey Amendment number 8.
The amendment is called up. You may proceed.
Thank you. So this amendment would ensure that there's an inclusion of a study of the risk to foreign direct investments from erratic and ever-changing tariff policies. Investors need certainty to plan multi-year projects and establish supply chains, and erratic tariff decisions imposed or withdrawn overnight create chaos that discourages building new factories, joint ventures, and long-term contracts. Companies large and small, foreign and domestic, are delaying their investment in the United States because of Trump's trade wars, which are making it impossible to confidently invest or to expand. Foreign investors need confidence, and I've lost count of the number of times that President Trump has announced or withdrawn tariffs on various goods and U.S. allies. It's dizzying for us in America to figure out where the tariff policy is today. It'd be hard to pass an exam as to which tariff is on which country, at which level, at any point in time. Just absolutely impossible. There's no predictability, which of course is what foreign investors are looking for in terms of their investment, to make sure that we are looking at those issues. Because foreign investors will think twice about investing in the United States if they fear that they will suddenly face skyrocketing costs due to tariffs are be unable to export abroad due to the Trump-induced trade war. So Markey Amendment number 8 just requires the Commerce Department to evaluate how such unpredictable trade actions damage Americans' investment climate. And just, again, I will just say this, every single amendment that I've filed includes policies or government actions that would impact on foreign investment in the United States. The Fed, tariff policy, I mean, we're trying to study what the impact on foreign investment would be. So the rejection of these amendments is telling, because if President Trump wasn't in the White House, I think that they would agree that the study examined the impact of violating the Fed's independence or erratic tariff policies. I don't think there's any question that they would be calling upon those subject areas to be considered as part of a study to determine what the investment environment is in our country. So that's really why I'm making the amendments, just so that we could have a comprehensive view of what, in fact, is happening right now, and not excluding those arbitrary and capricious actions that are being taken by President Trump that is having an impact. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I thank you, and I urge an aye vote by the members of the committee.
Are you asking for a roll call?
I think you
Roll
did.
call, is that what you're asking?
Thank you, Senator Markey. This is yet another political show vote, and this is for the same purpose, to criticize President Trump and the Trump administration. It is lost on absolutely zero observers that Senator Markey disagrees with President Trump. That's why we have elections. That's why we have democracy. But at the end of the day, this disagreement concerns trade policy, which once again is not in this committee's jurisdiction. That belongs to the Finance Committee. So much like the amendment a minute ago on the Fed, it is an effort to voice political disagreement with the president on an issue unrelated to the underlying bill, and so I urge a no vote.
Mr. Chairman, just if you could just.
Senator Moreno.
10 seconds. I hope it's not
For
lost.
you, 20.
I hope it's not lost on my colleague from Massachusetts that Stellantis has announced a $13 billion investment, auto plants in my state, Indiana, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, that Hyundai is investing $25 million in Georgia, that Volkswagen Group's about to invest $20 billion, and most importantly, maybe you don't care about this in Massachusetts, but we do in Ohio. It used to be that 50% of cars last year were made in America, were sold in America. This year it's 57%. So the people who have union jobs, who appreciate the fact that they're adding employment, would vehemently disagree with your assessment.
Is any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Senator Markey.
all I'm asking for is a comprehensive evaluation of the totality of all of the investment in our country. We can't do this anecdotally on individual investments. We're looking at the totality at a macroeconomic perspective of that inflow and outflow of capital into our country. And we can't do that anecdotally. We have to do it evidence-based. And we need that as part of the study. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Thune,
No by proxy.
Mr. Wicker, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Moran, Mr. Sullivan, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Young, Mr. Budd, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Moreno, Mr. Sheehy, Mrs. Capito, Ms. Lemus, Ms. Cantwell,
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar,
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Schatz,
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Markey,
Aye.
Mr. Peters, Ms. Baldwin,
Aye.
Ms. Duckworth,
Aye by proxy.
Ms. Rosen, Mr. Lujan, Mr. Hickenlooper, Mr. Fetterman,
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim, Ms. Blunt
Aye by
Rochester,
proxy.
Mr. Cruz.
No.
The noes are 15, the yeses are 13.
The amendment is not adopted. Are there any additional amendments or further discussion?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, I have Markey Amendment number 13, and this will be my final amendment.
Markey 13 is called up. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, this does go to the workers and what the impact on workers are in our country. This amendment would ensure that Commerce's review considers whether foreign companies pay workers wages in line with industry standards in the United States. Because too often, manufacturing jobs are advertised as inherently good or well-paid, but manufacturing unions know that the high wages, strong benefits, and safe working conditions that now define many manufacturing jobs were hard-earned over decades of labor organizing and strife. New foreign projects and joint ventures must provide workers and industry standard conditions and protections that they have earned over decades. So Markey Amendment number 13 ensures that Commerce's review considers whether foreign-owned ventures offer fair, competitive wages, and especially those compared to their unionized peers in our country. The United States must signal that foreign investment is only welcome when it uplifts and not undercuts the American worker. That, I think, should be a critical part of any study which is conducted, and for that, Mr. Chairman, I urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Markey. Again, I oppose this amendment. This is yet another political vote expressing Senator Markey's opposition to President Trump and his economic policy. I would note Senator Moreno's points were I think, very well taken about the additional foreign direct investment, particularly in the auto industry. Senator Markey is attacking the wages paid by foreign direct investment without noting that companies like Japan and Germany already pay wages that are at least 7% above domestic averages. I'll also point out that Section 4E of this bill already requires the review's recommendations to, quote, maintain or strengthen the labor protections of the United States. And so, for those reasons, I urge a no vote.
Mr. Chairman?
Senator Moreno.
Would my colleague from Massachusetts entertain an amendment to your amendment, which would study the impact of illegal migrants on American wages?
If the gentleman wants to make such an amendment, we should be debating your amendment. You should propose your own amendment. I would ask for a vote on my amendment, and if the gentleman has an amendment, he should propose it.
So you're okay with illegal migrants lowering wages on American workers?
Again, if the gentleman would wish to make that amendment, he should do so. The floor is open for you to make that amendment at this moment in time. Please proceed with your amendment, but I call for a vote on my amendment at this time.
Is there any additional discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Campbell.
past studies have been conducted by the International Trade Administration and the Department of Commerce and have concluded that U.S. affiliates of foreign companies tend to pay higher wages than other U.S. companies. These studies found that on average, U.S. subsidiaries of foreign companies pay 25% higher wages and salaries. You were mentioning the 7% of those establishments. But the newest of these studies appears to be almost 10 years old. So I find my colleagues' efforts to update the assessment of this as part of this legislation something that needs to be done by the Department of Commerce, and I urge my colleagues to support it. And we ask for a roll call vote.
Any additional discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Thune?
No by proxy.
Mr. Wicker? No. Mrs. Fisher? No. Mr. Moran? No. Mr. Sullivan? No. Mrs. Blackburn? No. Mr. Young? No. Mr. Budd? No. Mr. Schmidt? No. Mr. Curtis? No. Mr. Moreno? No. Mr. Sheehy? No. Mrs. Capito? No. Ms. Lummis? No. Ms. Cantwell?
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Schatz?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Markey?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Ms. Baldwin?
Aye.
Ms. Duckworth?
Aye by proxy.
Ms. Rosen? Aye. Mr. Lujan? Aye. Mr. Hickenlooper? Mr. Fetterman?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Aye. Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Cruz?
No.
The noes are 15, the yeses are 13.
The amendment is not adopted. Are there any additional amendments or additional discussion? If there's no further discussion, the question is on Senator
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Wicker.
let me just make sure. We are voting on S 2563 as amended by the Young substitute.
That is correct.
All right. Just wanted to make sure.
So we're voting on the underlying bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion is agreed to. The bill is ordered to be reported favorably. I now recognize Ranking Member Cantwell for a motion.
I move, Mr. Chairman, that S 1070, National STEM Week Act, as amended by Klobuchar substitute, as modified, S 2126, the Integrated Oceans Observation System Reauthorization Act of 2025, as amended by the Wicker, Sullivan, Cantwell substitute, as amended by Cruz 1, S 22 45, the Digital Coastal Act as amended by Baldwin substitute. S. 2357, the Young Fishermen's Development Extension Act as amended by the Sullivan substitute. S. 2503, the Rotor Act as amended by the Cruz, Cantwell, Capito, Klobuchar, Budd, Duckworth, Blackburn, Markey, Young substitute as modified by Markey 1, Markey 2 as modified, Markey 4 as modified, Markey 5 as modified, Moran 1 and Moran 2 as modified. S. 2666, the Foreign Robocall Elimination Act as amended by the Budd substitute, as amended by the Lujan 1 as modified, Markey Lujan 1 as modified, Markey Lujan 2 as modified, and the Thune Markey 1 be favorably reported.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No. Aye.
The motion is agreed to, and the bills are ordered to be reported favorably. I ask for unanimous consent that staff are authorized to make technical and conforming changes. Without objection, so ordered. I now recognize Senator Fisher for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that PN 26-26, the nomination of Harry Kumar to be an Assistant Secretary of the Department of Commerce for Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs, be favorably reported.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Thune,
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Wicker,
Aye.
Mrs. Fisher,
Aye.
Mr. Moran. Aye. Mr. Sullivan, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Young, Mr. Budd, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Moreno, Mr. Sheehy, Mrs. Capito, Ms. Lemus, Ms. Cantwell,
No.
Ms. Klobuchar,
No by proxy.
Mr. Schatz,
No by proxy.
Mr. Markey,
Nope.
Mr. Peters,
No.
Ms. Baldwin, Ms. Duckworth,
No by proxy.
Ms. Rosen, Mr. Lujan, Mr. Hickenlooper,
No by proxy. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Fetterman,
No by proxy.
Mr. Kim, Ms. Blunt Rochester,
No by proxy.
Mr. Cruz.
Aye.
The ayes are 15, the noes are 13.
The motion is agreed to, and the nomination is ordered to be reported favorably. Now recognize Senator Moran for a motion.
Before I make that motion, I'd like to ask you to recognize me at the appropriate time to speak in regard to Senate Bill 2503, the Rotor Act.
Absolutely happy to do so as soon as we're done with the votes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that PN 60-13 nomination of Joyce Meyer to be the Undersecretary of Commerce for Economic Affairs be favorably reported.
Is there a second? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Thune,
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Wicker, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Moran, Mr. Sullivan, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Young, Mr. Budd, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Moreno, Mr. Sheehy, Mrs. Capito, Ms. Lemus, Ms. Cantwell,
No.
Ms. Klobuchar,
No by proxy.
Mr. Schatz,
No by proxy.
Mr. Markey,
Nope.
Mr. Peters,
No.
Ms. Baldwin, Ms. Duckworth,
No by proxy.
Ms. Rosen, Mr. Lujan, Mr. Hickenlooper, Mr. Fetterman,
No by proxy.
Mr. Kim, Ms. Blunt
No by
Rochester,
proxy.
Mr. Cruz.
Aye.
The ayes are 15, the noes are 13.
The motion is agreed to, and the nomination is ordered to be reported favorably. Now recognize Senator Wicker for a motion.
Chairman Cruz, I move that PN 2636, nomination of Seval Oz to be the Assistant Secretary of Transportation for Research and Technology, be favorably reported.
Is there a second? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Thune,
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Wicker, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Moran, Mr. Sullivan, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Young, Mr. Budd, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Moreno, Mr. Sheehy, Mrs. Capito, Ms. Lummis, Ms. Cantwell,
No.
Ms. Klobuchar,
No by proxy.
Mr. Schatz,
No by proxy.
Mr. Markey,
Nope.
Mr. Peters,
By, oh,
Ms. Baldwin,
no.
Ms. Duckworth,
I couldn't see him. I thought he left. No by proxy.
Ms. Rosen, Mr. Lujan, Mr. Hickenlooper, Mr. Fetterman,
No by proxy.
Mr. Kim, Ms. Blunt Rochester,
No by proxy.
Mr. Cruz.
Aye.
The ayes are 16, the noes are 12.
The motion is agreed to, and the nomination is ordered to be reported favorably. That concludes the voting we have, and so Senator Moran asked to speak. I understand Senator Kim also wants to speak.
And Mr. Chairman, I previously reported that Senator Blunt Rochester wanted to be recorded as a no. I withdraw that request.
So it should be recorded as a yes or just?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
All right, Senator Moran, you're recognized.
Chairman Cruz, thank you. I just want to take a further moment to acknowledge the work of this committee, you and Senator Cantwell, for the efforts to bolster the safety of our national airspace system, represented by the Rotor Act, which we just adopted and passed in this committee and will report to the Senate. It brings back memories of January 29th. Those memories are certainly real for me, but more real for others in the room and many across the country and around the globe. And I know that we continue to mourn the loss of family members and victims of a tragedy that occurred that day. American Airlines Flight 5342 originated from Wichita, Kansas, carrying Kansans and others, and it's certainly changed the way how we now think about air traffic safety. Today, we seek to address many safety concerns that make our skies safer, both for civilian travelers and for our military men and women. Central to the conversation surrounding that day in January is the use of and the failure to use ADS-B technology. While elements of ADS-B technology out are mandated by the FAA, others are not. This bill encourages greater adoption of integration of ADS-B in technologies, ADS-B in technologies which share an aircraft's GPS position, altitude, identity, ground speed with air traffic control and other aircraft equipment with ADS-B in. Broader use of this technology improves safety and could have saved lives on the evening of January the 29th. The Rotor Act is also forward-looking and considers steps to deploy other safety-enhancing technologies such as ACAS-X. I thank Chairman Cruz and Ranking Member for their work, as well as their partnership and the adoption of my amendments to the agreed-upon version, which bolster the underlying bill and address vulnerabilities the NTSB has identified in their investigation up to this point. I also take note of the presence of the chairwoman of the NTSB and thank her and her team for their tremendous effort to find out what occurred and how to avoid it occurring in the future. It should not take a tragedy to get us to this point, and I'm grateful that this committee is taking steps to address recent accidents as well as taking proactive approach to aviation safety. We will continue to do so. And again, Chairman and Ranking Member, I thank you both for your leadership in this regard. I look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Moran. Senator Kim.
Thank you, Chairman and Ranking Member. I had wanted to offer this amendment, Kim 1, to the Rotor Act today to draw attention to the pressing need to address air traffic controller staffing, modernization, and oversight challenges that we have seen across the country, including ones highlighted by the DCA collision, but also intimately in the New Jersey this past year. This amendment included critical reforms for extending maximum hiring of air traffic controllers through 2033 to codify the enhanced ATCTI program, helping us get more air traffic controllers, to addressing the need for getting more air traffic control instructors as well. I was heartened to see the bipartisan Rotor Act address critical safety reforms following the tragic collision. I hope that this will serve as a meaningful starting point for continued challenges we must tackle as soon as possible. Though I withdrew the amendment to this bill, I hope we can continue to advance air traffic control priorities. I know we all share on this committee this priority and could achieve this through a bipartisan air traffic control package. I also just want to say to the families and the loved ones of the victims, especially those that are here today, I am deeply, deeply sorry for your loss, and I am inspired by your efforts to channel your grief into real action to save the lives of others. It is something that inspires me and every member of this committee. May we live up to your great example of selflessness in the face of tragedy. And with that, I turn it back. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Ranking Member Cantwell.
Thank you, Senator Kim, and I too want to thank the families who are here. It takes courage to get up and keep going in the face of a tragedy. And today we've seen this committee adopt unanimously legislation improving airline safety, improving the safety of the traveling public. And I believe we will move this legislation on the floor. We will get it through the House. We will get it signed into law. And nothing we do will bring your loved ones back. But I am hopeful that the tragedy that occurred earlier this year will change the law in a way to make others safer and prevent other families from going through the pain and grief that you're suffering through. And so thank you for your courage and congratulations, because this victory is yours. And with that, this committee is adjourned.